Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're plunging into Jordan Peterson's Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life. Specifically, we're really focusing on the author's note right there at the beginning. Our listener, the learner, wants to, quickly and thoroughly grasp the core insights. So we're going straight to Peterson's personal reflections and, well, the pretty unusual circumstances surrounding this book's creation.
Yeah, and what immediately grabs you is the backdrop, isn't it? The context against which Beyond Order was actually written. As he lays out, this book largely took shape during a period that was just intensely marked by significant personal and family health crises. It's quite a striking origin, I think, for a work that aims to explore these fundamental philosophical principles.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting, isn't it, that Peterson made this deliberate choice to avoid the huge global event dominating everyone's thoughts back then, the pandemic. He actually mentions this conscious decision with his publishers, opting instead to focus on, well, timeless human issues. He even acknowledges the risk, of maybe seeming a bit disconnected from the present moment. It's almost as if he was intentionally carving out a space to think about what really endures beyond the immediate crisis.
That decision, in itself, it speaks volumes. In a world just saturated with talk about the pandemic, Peterson chose to offer a different lens, a different perspective. His reasoning, I believe, it points to something fundamental, a human need, perhaps, that desire to engage with principles, with ideas that stretch beyond the here and now, things that provide a sense of grounding, a longer-term view. So for you, the learner, it kind of prompts the question, how often do you actively seek out viewpoints that aren't just anchored to current events? And what value might that broader perspective hold, especially when, immediate challenges feel totally overwhelming?
Right. So let's get into the specifics of those personal challenges Peterson outlines in his author's note. He starts with his daughter Michaela's health issues, beginning back in January 2019.
Yeah, that's where he kicks it off.
Right. He recounts Michaela needing surgery on a previous ankle implant. It was causing her significant and really debilitating pain, but that was just the beginning of a very difficult time for them. Just 2 weeks later, she underwent even more extensive surgery where a huge portion, like 2/3 of her kidney and a considerable part of her abdominal lymphatic system had to be removed.
Wow.
It sounds incredibly serious, and it just highlights the precariousness of health, doesn't it?
It really does. It was clearly a grave situation. And while that surgery thankfully halted the progression of her cancer, it unfortunately led straight into another serious condition, chylocystitis.
Oh, yes, the fluid leakage.
Exactly. It's essentially a leakage of lymphatic fluid, and in Michaela's case, it was a massive amount. We're talking up to 4 liters, a full gallon, every single day, just leaking from her damaged lymphatic system. The sheer volume of that internal fluid loss, it really underscores the severity of what she was battling.
It's hard to even imagine. And then, almost incredibly, he describes their journey to Philadelphia. There, within a remarkable 96 hours after a poppy seed oil dye injection, which, interestingly, was just intended to improve scan clarity, Michaela's fluid loss just completely stopped.
Just like that.
Just like that. And he points out this breakthrough happened on their 30th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah, a truly striking moment of unexpected positive resolution right in the middle of such intense hardship. He even describes it as a testament to luck, kind of underscoring the unpredictable nature of these things. This dramatic turn, almost a moment of grace amidst all that suffering, it really underscores a theme Peterson explores, right? That unpredictable interplay of chaos and order, where unexpected positive change can emerge even from, well, dire circumstances. It certainly highlights the limits of purely deterministic worldviews.
Absolutely. That juxtaposition of profound medical difficulty and then this seemingly rapid resolution on such a personally significant date, it definitely emphasizes the unpredictable nature of life, doesn't it? And the role of chance. Even when you have advanced medical interventions, it serves as a stark reminder, I think, of the elements that lie just beyond our complete control.
But the health crises didn't stop there, unfortunately. Peterson then recounts his own harrowing experience, starting with his hospitalization in Russia. This was as a result of benzodiazepine withdrawal. Apparently, previous attempts to reduce his dosage in North America had been unsuccessful.
Right. And the approach taken at the Russian clinic was, well, quite extreme. He was put into a medically induced coma for 9 days. During that time, his breathing was mechanically supported. A drastic measure, really, which highlights just how severe benzodiazepine withdrawal symptoms can potentially be. The aim was to allow his system to stabilize under very controlled conditions.
And incredibly, while he was in the ICU in Moscow, doctors discovered something else. They found he had also developed double pneumonia back in Canada, something that hadn't even been diagnosed or treated before he left.
Good grief. The complexity of his medical situation is just staggering.
It truly is. He mentions briefly regaining consciousness at one point and apparently communicated to Mikhaila that his akathisia, that state of intense inner restlessness and discomfort had lessened, though he himself has no memory of this conversation at all.
Which gives you a sense of the profound neurological impact he must have been experiencing. Just profound.
Yeah. And following his time in Russia, he returned to Canada, but sadly his condition worsened again. Ultimately, he ended up seeking treatment at a clinic in Serbia for a novel approach to benzodiazepine withdrawal. This was particularly after the pandemic caused, huge disruptions to international travel before things eventually started reopening. It just paints this picture of a prolonged and incredibly challenging period for both him and his family.
It really does. And given the sheer intensity of these overlapping crises, Peterson's reflections on suffering and meaning in that author's note, they carry a significant weight, a weight of lived experience. He makes a very deliberate and, I think, quite powerful statement. He says, I am not going to cheapen any of that by claiming that we became better people for living through it.
That line really stood out to me, too, that statement about not becoming better people.
Yeah.
What do you think he's pushing back against there?
It feels like a powerful refusal, doesn't it? A refusal to embrace that simplistic narrative where suffering automatically leads to some kind of easy moral improvement or, spiritual enlightenment.
Exactly. He's not trying to find a silver lining or downplay the sheer, unadulterated awfulness of what they endured.
Precisely. However, he does offer a more nuanced take. He notes that facing such close proximity to death did motivate his wife, Tammy, to focus more intently on her spiritual and creative pursuits. And for him, it seemed to reinforce the fundamental significance of his writing.
Right. He mentions this deep desire to preserve only those words and ideas that really retained their meaning and validity, even when viewed through the lens of extreme suffering.
Which suggests his writing wasn't just some detached academic exercise, was it? It was something deeply intertwined with his own struggle to find meaning and navigate immense difficulty.
He also emphasizes the absolutely crucial role that family and friends played in their survival, that support system.
Right.
And he points to his meaningful immersion in writing, except, of course, for that period when he was unconscious as both a vital reason to keep living and also a rigorous way to test the strength and validity of his own ideas in the face of such profound adversity.
This deep connection between intense personal crisis and intellectual work is fascinating. It suggests that his writing served not just as a form of expression, but almost as a lifeline, maybe. A way to grapple with and make sense of experiences that could otherwise be completely overwhelming.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
So for you, the learner, the key takeaway here might be this idea that our core beliefs and values, they're often tested most profoundly during times of great difficulty. And maybe those that endure, those are the ones that hold the most genuine significance for us.
Moving on then, having witnessed such unpredictable, chaotic events in his own life and his family's, it's interesting that Peterson then turns his attention to the role of rules, both in his previous work and in Beyond Order. He states that simply adhering to rules, it might not always be enough, particularly when unexpected chaos strikes.
Right. He frames misfortune as only, quote, the bitter half of the tale of existence. What he argues is crucial is recognizing what he calls the heroic element of redemption and the inherent nobility of a human spirit requiring a certain responsibility to shoulder.
That's quite a phrase.
It is. And he cautions that losing sight of this heroic aspect, this capacity for resilience and meaning-making, could have profound negative consequences, especially given, the inherent difficulties of life.
He then quotes himself, and it's a really powerful, direct call to action. We need instead to take heart and to take spirit and to look at things carefully and properly and to live the way that we could live. It's a very direct, almost defiant stance against just succumbing to despair when faced with life's challenges.
That idea of a heroic element, it really resonates with a broader theme in Peterson's work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The fundamental importance of individual responsibility when facing adversity.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not about passively accepting misfortune, but about actively engaging with it, seeking meaning and purpose even within the struggle. And that requires a certain courage, I think, and a willingness to confront the difficult aspects of existence head on.
He then poses a really fundamental question, doesn't he? He asks, wouldn't we all be better equipped to handle uncertainty, horrors, tyranny, malevolence, if we were, quote, better and more courageous people, if we were actively striving for higher values and truthfulness in our own lives? It's a direct link he's drawing between our individual character and our ability to navigate the darker aspects of the world.
It is. And that line of questioning, it suggests a very direct relationship between our personal character and our capacity to withstand and navigate the more challenging parts of existence. He's proposing essentially that having noble goals, cultivating courage, maintaining a commitment to truth, these might provide a meaning so profound, so resilient, that it can actually prevent terror from corrupting us from the inside out.
Wow.
It's a powerful assertion, really, about the strength of the human spirit when it's grounded in strong ethical principles and a sense of purpose that transcends immediate circumstances.
Definitely something to think about. Next, he delves into these fundamental concepts of order and chaos. He describes order as, the realm of the known, the predictable structures we rely on, while chaos represents the unknown. The realm of potential, yes, but also uncertainty and danger. And he emphasizes the crucial need to be able to move beyond the strict confines of rigid order.
Yes, and he astutely points out that when that desire for order becomes excessive, inflexible, it can actually lead towards totalitarianism, which he sees as an attempt to impose absolute control, ultimately stifling the psychological and social adaptations that are necessary for navigating an ever-changing world.
Right, it becomes too rigid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This kind of rigid adherence to a single, all-encompassing order can be inherently dangerous because it just doesn't allow for the necessary flexibility, the innovation that life often demands.
So how does he view order and chaos then?
Well, Peterson views order as the realm of established structures, predictable rules, familiar territory, essential for stability, sure, but potentially stifling if it's too rigidly enforced. Chaos, on the other hand, is the realm of the unknown, of potential, but also danger. His work often explores the necessary and often tense dance between these two, arguing that true growth and resilience lie in navigating the border between them rather than, say, retreating entirely into the safety of order.
And he defines chaos as encompassing things like anomaly, novelty, unpredictability, transformation, disruption, even dissent. He highlights its dual nature, too. Sometimes it presents as this gentle unfolding of mysteries that sparks our curiosity, drives us to learn, and other times it just manifests as sudden, terrible upheaval that can destabilize and even destroy us.
That duality is absolutely key, I think. Chaos isn't simply negative or something to be avoided at all costs. It's also the fundamental source of novelty, creativity, potential for growth, transformation. The ability to navigate this dynamic interplay between the structures of order and the unpredictability of chaos is presented as a fundamental aspect of a healthy, resilient life, both for individuals and for society.
That makes sense.
You could think of it like a garden, maybe. Order is the neatly planted rows, giving structure, predictability. Chaos is the wild growth, representing new possibilities, but also unexpected challenges, weeds perhaps. A healthy garden needs a balance, right? Some structure to prevent it from becoming overgrown, but also enough space for new things to emerge and flourish.
That's a great analogy. So, bringing it back to you, the learner, and your interest in quickly gaining knowledge, Peterson made this conscious choice to focus on these enduring human themes, suffering, meaning, rules, order, chaos, rather than the specifics of the pandemic. Considering his own intense personal experiences that we've just discussed, why might understanding these broader, more timeless concepts be particularly relevant now, even as we hopefully move beyond the acute phase of the pandemic?
Well, the author's deep commitment to these enduring ideas, even amidst immense personal suffering that could have easily just consumed his focus, it suggests a really rigorous process of self-assessment, doesn't it? It implies that only those thoughts and principles that genuinely retain their significance, their validity under such extreme conditions, ultimately made their way into the book.
Like a filtering process.
It's exactly. This intense filtering process underscores their potential value for anyone navigating significant life challenges, regardless of the specific nature of those challenges, not just a pandemic. In essence, what Peterson seems to be saying about suffering is that while it might not inherently make us better, it can certainly clarify what truly matters to us and what principles we find most enduring when push comes to shove.
So, to kind of summarize the deep dive into Jordan Peterson's author's note, it offers a remarkably raw, honest look into the intense personal storms he weathered while creating Beyond Order. His deliberate decision to focus on these timeless principles, it really underscores the enduring human need for meaning, for taking responsibility, and for cultivating the courage to face both the structured aspects of life order and its inevitable, often unpredictable, chaos. For you, the learner, perhaps the key takeaway here is the sheer resilience of the human spirit in the face of profound adversity, and the idea that our core values are often tested and maybe even refined in the crucible of personal challenge.
I agree. And as final thought, just consider the profound resilience of the human spirit that is so evident in Peterson's narrative. His experience strongly suggests that confronting profound personal challenges can, paradoxically perhaps, serve to refine and reinforce the significance of one's work and one's core beliefs, ultimately leading maybe to a deeper understanding of what truly holds lasting value in life.
And for you, our listener, a final provocative thought to mull over. In your own life, what are the enduring principles that provide you with a sense of stability and purpose amidst all the inevitable uncertainties? And how do your personal challenges, both large and small, shape your understanding and your application of these fundamental principles? Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.